Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm Debra Diamond, and I want to speak with you today about something that's a little bit off the topic of spirituality, but it relates to all of you, and it's an important message and one that I feel compelled to bring to you. It's about our money, and money can be spiritual. It's about our money and the outlook for money and the markets. Now and in the coming months. It's a really important topic because I'm sure, as all of you have noticed, it's been a wild year in financial markets. I want to address that, and I want to address your worry because I think people are concerned. And if you're wondering why is this lady talking to us about this topic, just to give you some background for those of you who are not familiar with my background. I'm a former Wall Street money manager. I'm a former professor at Johns Hopkins University in portfolio management, and I'm a former CNBC commentator. I spent many, many years in the investment business. That's my background. I'm also the first woman hedge fund manager on Wall Street. So that's my background, and I have a deep background in this. So I do continue to watch the financial markets, and it all gets filtered through something that's still part of me because I did this for a very long time. And what I'm seeing now is important to pass on to you. I'm going to try to keep this at a level that everybody can understand. I'm not trying to alarm anyone. I'm just laying out some things that I think are important for all of us to recognize and to know. So first of all, let me make a few comments about the market this year. Unless you've been asleep, you probably noticed that the market's been extremely volatile. At one point, it was off 35%. It's now, as of this morning, off about 28%. Since the beginning of 2020. That is certainly correction mode. If you wonder if it's over, I don't believe that it is. I think there's more news to come. I think this is not the end. And in terms of the news that's coming, what is concerning is the disruption of supply chains. What does that mean? That means that businesses, people have not been able to go to work and businesses are closed. And many of them are not going to be opening up. They can't turn on a dime, and they won't, open up a day or two after they've been closed if they've been closed for some period of time. Many of them are going to go out of business. And this is worldwide. So it's not just a supply chain locally or nationally, it's worldwide because this virus that we have right now is unprecedented, and it's affecting everyone throughout the world. What does it mean if there's a disruption in supply chain? That means that you can't get some things that you're used to having. Some are necessities, some are luxuries. But it doesn't matter because if the businesses aren't there, and right now, if there are any disruptions in terms of transportation, all of those have impacts on the market and have impacts on us personally. So I'm not sure that that's been factored into market valuations at this point. I don't believe that it has. And I think that this is going to be going on longer than any of us think it might. I think this might be with us for a lot of the year and in various forms. The market hasn't discounted that yet, and I believe that there's more downside. What we're seeing is, unlike other market corrections that we've had in the past, we've had corrections in 2020 in one day that are equivalent to annual corrections in other years. But again, I don't believe we're done. So if you are listening to this and wondering, oh, great, now what am I supposed to do? Because maybe it's going to get worse. So, what I would advise are a couple things. This is my opinion. So one is that everyone should have cash. Cash is always good. And if you have it, great. If you don't have it and you can sell some things to get some liquidity, I think that's advisable. That's going to be important. Number two, if you do have investable funds or you do have, you're going to liquidate some of your positions and raise some cash and you have a little bit extra, I would suggest that you think about investing in precious metals, particularly gold. Gold has always been a store of value. It has been accumulated over the last number of years by all the banks all around the world, the government banks, the governments themselves. So China and Russia have huge stores of gold. We have a store of gold too. There's been a steady accumulation going on. What do these governments know that we don't know? Well, you can guess at that, but they have very large stores of gold. And gold has always been used as a monetary exchange, and I don't believe that this time is going to be any different. Now, why would I be talking about all these crazy things? Okay, so let me drop back for a second. Jerome Powell, who's head of the Federal Reserve, announced a rescue package recently for the U.S., and it's a I believe it's a $2.2 trillion rescue package. How does that shape up versus other packages? Well, in 2009, we had an $831 billion rescue package. So this is 2.5 times that size. And guess what? We're not done yet. There's going to be another rescue package, if not more than one. This rescue package dwarfs the size of our deficit last year, which our deficits have been running at record amounts. So what does this mean? This means basically we're creating money, and there's nothing to back it up. And what does that lead to? That leads to inflation, and then perhaps eventually hyperinflation. So this is all probably sounding a little complicated and more than you necessarily want to know, but to put it in simple terms, we're debasing the currency, and if that happens, it's possible that we may come up with a new form of currency because the dollar is not going to be worth anything. And this is probably systemic around the world. There'll be a new form of currency. Traditionally, gold has stepped in to provide some sort of role in that regard, and it's possible. I can't predict that, but it's possible that may happen again. Irrespective of that, I believe that having a store of value, having gold, something that's a material, not a paper form of exchange, is going to be useful. We're already starting to see some forms of barter because there's a shortage of goods, and so barter is now starting to creep up. When did we last see this? Well, most of us weren't around for the Great Depression, but that's what people did back then. If you had groceries and somebody else had, medicine, they might make an exchange. So, or clothing for groceries or something like that. So we may be getting into a barter economy, something to tuck in the back of your mind. I don't want to scare anybody, but I'm trying to just lay out some scenarios as I see them. So don't be scared, but be prepared. All right, I think that's probably the best thing we can all do. How do you buy gold? There's a variety of ways to do it. If you can buy physical gold, which is almost impossible to find right now, that's obviously the best way. If you have gold jewelry or anything, don't sell it. Wait, it's going to go much higher. You can buy silver as well. Silver typically tends to follow gold. It lags it. So it's because it's an industrial metal. So right now industry is shutting down, but it will eventually, silver will eventually come back, but it does lag gold. So just a few more comments. We in the early stages of something, a crisis like this, we typically see deflation before we see inflation. And that's what we're seeing in the markets. We're seeing deflation. Prices are going down. How low can they go? I don't know the answer to that. I think they can go lower, but I don't know the answer. And after that, there'll be a period of inflation, and inflation is when there is we're chasing too few goods and too much demand and not enough supply. We're already starting to see this a little bit. If you go on Amazon and try to go shopping, you'll see that things are disappearing in front of your eyes. They come, they go. There's limited supply, and if there is supply, the prices shoot up. I've seen cases where food, that was going for $3 and $5 is now $25. So, and you can go on Amazon and see the same thing. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. I'm trying to talk about, some of these things so that you understand these are real things. They've happened before in history. This is not the first time. It's probably the first time for most people who are alive today. We are not used to this kind of environment at all. We are used to an environment where we can do whatever we want. If we don't have the money, we could put it on our credit cards and still do whatever we want. That's ending. That is over. And now this is a time, we're going from self-indulgence to self-preservation. So, I think as long as you realize that, that should be helpful, and to understand that we're all in this together. And, if you have a plan and you understand that this is sort of how things unfold under this kind of scenario, I think, hopefully it will help everybody. If you have any questions, you can always put your questions on the bottom of the video. You can go to my website and the contact page and send us your questions. I will answer them. I'll answer them in a video, or I will, answer them on the YouTube page. I'll answer them. So if you have questions, please, feel free to do so. If you don't agree with any of this, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I have a background, and I'm bringing my background to this. Nobody is ever 100% right. In the investment business, they say if you're right 50% of the time, you've got a great batting average. But one thing that you do in the investment business and elsewhere, I think people should do as well, is pay attention to trends. Pay attention to history. Pay attention to trends. There's an old saying that was attributed to Mark Twain, but although some people say he never said it, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. Okay, so, we don't have exactly the same thing playing out every time, but there are certain patterns that tend to show up, and you pay attention to those patterns so you could be prepared. So that's it for today. I'm just dropping in this video because it's something that's really important to pay attention to. And again, it's because of my background. I spent many, many, many years working in the investment business, looking at trends. I worked through periods of inflation, through deflation, through market manias, through bear markets. I'm not going to say I saw it all, because nobody ever sees it all, but I saw a lot. And, you like to kind of tuck that back and take it into account and use it as file it away, and, pull out things from your filing cabinet from time to time and evaluate, is this the same? Is this different? How is it different? This is an extraordinary time in our history. It's extraordinary. Most important thing is to stay safe. That's number one. After that, you want to make sure you're prepared. And, I'm trying to help you think of some alternatives and some options, and to be prepared. It's something that I feel interested and compelled in a way to talk about. So I hope that you find this helpful, not upsetting, but helpful for you in terms of laying out some sort of roadmap, understanding things perhaps a little bit better, and being prepared for what comes. And by the way, I mentioned the size of the stimulus package, $2.2 trillion. It's not over. There's going to be another one. This is called QE, quantitative easing. There'll probably be another one in a few weeks, when it becomes evident that people are probably not going back to work right away. They're not going back to work in 2 weeks or at the end of this month. So there'll be more stimulus needed. This seems to be the tack that our government is using to fiscally and financially treat this. I'm not sure that it's correct, but this is what they're doing. I mean, who knows what's really correct? We got ourselves into problems by doing this in the past. So, this is the playbook that they're pulling out. So again, if you like this video, if you like, maybe you don't like this video, but you like some of the other ones that I've posted, please feel free to like and to share. Please share because it's important to get this information out. Information is great, and if you turn on the TV and you watch the news, it's kind of a one-channel message, and nobody's talking so much about implications for all of us, especially the financial implications. So it's important to get this message out, and so if you like it, and please share it, and please tune in for the next video. I'll be posting another one in a few days and be talking some more about some other spiritual issues that affect all of us at this time. So thank you very much. Stay safe. Be well.